This week, we are going to discuss the latest Linux kernel and all of its new features. We're also going to talk about how you can win a prize from Linus Torvalds himself. Welcome to Destination Linux, where we discuss the latest news, hot topics, gaming, mobile, and all things open source and Linux. My name is Jill, and with me are the errors of web pages, Michael and Ryan.
That's silly. So for those who don't know this is episode 404 or error 404. And it's fitting with that number because we're recording late thanks to Ryan. So Ryan not found for the beginning of this. And he says that he was in a work meeting, blah, blah. We found out what the truth is. He was doing a marathon of My Little Pony. And I assumed it was more a priority than this show. So thanks for joining us, Ryan.
Does that even, really? Like, why wouldn't it be more of a priority than this show? My Little Pony? I had no idea what was going to happen to that one horse and at the end. And I was like, guys, you're going to have to wait because it's so good.
Well, that one horse got a Care Bear stare. That's what happened.
Yeah, exactly. I was in a real life 404 error. Page not found. Ryan not found. It was scary. But hey, at least I brought some authenticity to this show.
You made it accurate.
Absolutely, Ryan.
Yes. So
and on this show, we will also be discussing Raspberry Pi's latest hardware release and some pretty gnarly phishing scams. Now, let's get the show on the road toward Destination Linux.
We have community feedback this week, and our feedback comes from the very own Dolphin Oracle. Michael, who, in case someone lives under a rock, who is Dolphin Oracle?
Dolphin Oracle is the head honcho of the MX Linux distribution. He's been the chief, yes,
Yay.
chief honcho.
Admiral, the king.
The general, the colonel, if you will, of
that's a good
of MX Linux. And he commented on the feedback we had from the previous episode where they were having issues with OBS and having to recompile. And he says, on OBS Studio, I have never had to recompile anything to run OBS Studio. The AHS release does update kernels quite often. And I suppose if some NVIDIA CUDA encoding setup was done on that OBS setup, that might break something. But I've never had a problem with OBS and the open source drivers.
Very cool. So here's the thing. I think this is a perfect example of you need to capture the next time you have to recompile it. Instead of just recompiling it, capture those error logs and get those on MX forums so Dolphin can check those out and we'll know for sure what's causing it. And maybe we can get a fix in place for that. So This is a good example of, some people are experiencing it. Some people aren't. It could be difference in hardware. It could be an extra software piece that you installed that's causing some type of conflict. Making you have to do that, but this will be the thing that gets to the bottom. That's the pull of this show, Michael. We bring the colonels, the admirals, the captains, the kings, everyone to the table right here with our problems, Yeah,
that's what I was about to say. Like, if you want to get your feedback read on the show, that I could also help you get it to the distro maintainers because they're watching the show too. So,
yeah.
They watch the show not because they like it, but they feel sorry for us. They're like, "Oh, they're so dumb. Let me help them and send in some."
I don't think that's exactly how it is. I'm pretty sure.
Should be.
I'm pretty sure it's like a mixture of both, probably.
Or they just feel bad for Jill.
They enjoy they enjoy how ridiculous we are, you and I, Ryan, and then they enjoy Jill's actual content.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Aw.
Awesome.
Thank you, Dolphin Oracle, for writing in. And I was thinking about this. And yes, the people I was talking about that needed to recompile OBS when they install a new kernel on Debian are using NVIDIA hardware. So there may be something with that. So very, very good point.
Well, we're going to give you another reason to avoid NVIDIA and use AMD later in the show.
Yes.
But you have to wait for it, like those news stories. Everyone's going to be dead in 1 hour. But first, we're going to talk about blah, blah, blah. You know how they do?
Stay tuned for the horrific stuff that's coming up in an hour. But for now, let's talk about what new recipes we have on deck.
If you want to send in your feedback, by the way, go to destinationlinux.net/comments. We love to hear from you. You get to be part of the show. and destinationlinux.net/forum. And by the way, a couple of you have sent your feedback in, which was really good feedback that I think a lot of people would find interesting. But you marked private, and we respect that at the very bottom of the emails. And if you say private, we're not going to read it on the show. So just know that if you didn't hear your email on the show, it could be because you marked the private. Maybe you didn't know what it meant, or maybe you did and you don't want it read, which is fine too. But just know that there's an option that says use public, and that means that we'll read it on the show, not that we post it like, I don't know, publicly necessarily, but it just means,
I guess we kind of are posting it publicly if it's on the show, though.
I guess you're right.
But we won't be identifying you other than like the first name you give us or some random pseudonym you give us. So if you wanted to be anonymous, you can do it that way. We can still include it on the show, but you can just say, hey, I'd like this to be anonymous and that sort of stuff.
Yeah, exactly. There you go.
Now, as Linux users, we know what's up. Security is non-negotiable. But with threats getting smarter, your security tools need to keep pace with that, and without dragging your system down, of course. Traditional agents, man, those are slow. They slow your system down. They leave blind spots. It's just not a good time. So it's time for a smarter approach. That's why Destination Linux is proud to be sponsored by Sandfly Security, the revolutionary agentless platform designed for Linux. Sandfly doesn't just detect and respond. It revolutionizes security with SSH key tracking, password auditing, drift detection, covering threats from every angle, whether your systems are in the cloud, on premises, or in embedded devices. Sandfly ensures they're all secure without the headaches of agent-based solutions. Listen to what Ken Kleiner said, the senior security engineer at the University of Massachusetts. He has to say, Sandfly is the first product I've seen that accurately and quickly detects thousands of signs of compromise on the Linux platform. Its unique method automates tasks which would be manually impossible. Automation is key with detection, and Sandfly completely fits this and other requirements. If your organization is using Linux, this should be part of your cybersecurity toolset. Experience security that's not just effective, but gives you peace of mind with no agents, no downtime, just cutting-edge protection. Dive into the future of Linux security at destinationlinux.net/Sandfly. That's destinationlinux.net/SANDFLY. And see how Sandfly can transform your security strategy overall, and you can love the value you get from it. And I believe Ryan has something extra you wanted to let him know.
Oh, yeah. Number one is you can use this with a free license for up to 20 hosts, which is amazing. But I got some extra, Michael.
What's that?
Extra. Read all about it.
Yay.
Yeah. So I'm not going to tell you all this. You have to read it. Let's put text up here.
That's not how a podcast works, really.
Oh, okay.
So, you know.
So the extra is I was in my cybersecurity course, right? And we were talking, well, we're going to get to it later in the show. It's going to be part of the software spotlight. But having researched Sandfly really helped me with one of my courses. And then I found something to combine a couple tools together for this whole cybersecurity toolkit. And Sandfly is one of them. And, I got an A on the project, so it definitely worked. But this is kind of a cool thing that I'm going to tell you guys about later in the show. Yeah. So Sandfly, destinationlinux.net/Sandfly. Check it out. Michael, kernels are exciting.
They are super exciting.
Not
the most
all the time.
exciting thing, actually, it's probably like every few times.
Every few times. Now, this one is exciting, though.
It is also very important to talk about them. We usually cover them every single time they come out because there's a lot of great stuff that comes that's hardware enablement and all that sorts of stuff. So it's not like it's not necessarily not exciting every time or even just most times, but this time it's more exciting than usual.
That's an interesting take, Michael. The reason why I like doing Linux kernel reviews is they have, of course, the latest, greatest hardware enablement in them. And when I read off that hardware enablement, it's my way of saying, I told you so. You should be on a cutting edge distro.
Thank you.
It's basically a chance for me to say I told you so every time. So that's why I like doing the reviews personally.
And a thank you to the kernel developers, Linus Torvalds included, of course.
Oh, totally. But thanks to me for letting people know you should be on the latest. Right, Jill?
We like to cover this because we like to pay respect to the effort and work done by the Linux kernel. When I say we, I mean Jill and I. Ryan likes to just talk about he's right about the hardware support. Getting it in a rolling release.
Potato.
Of course.
6.13 is not a major release. It's a point release, but it's got some major things in this. And one of the major things is we want more people to get involved in kernel development. I mean, it's very important. Linus isn't going to live forever. He's not going to be around for. Maybe he wants to retire. Maybe he wants to go and live on a boat and be away from everybody forever someday. But either way, we want more and more people developing Linux kernel so it can go on forever. And one of the cool things is there's a lot of Rust implementation in here. And we talked about the importance of bringing
You don't want your
language.
boat to get Rust, though. So, a quick note, Linus, if you do want to, yeah, don't put Rust on your boat. That's so stupid, Michael. God, that's so dumb.
In any case,
you brought it up.
In any case, so that's exciting. There's more, but also, what if Linus was going to give you a gift he hand created for you to contribute some code? Wouldn't that be worth it?
That would be awesome.
Yeah.
Yes.
And he is. Jill, I want one of these. Yeah. I just don't know how to develop the kernel.
It's really cool. I'm not a musician, but I always like having a guitar pedal for doing reverb and echo because I've played with them with synthesizers.
You kind of jumped the gun. What is it that he's giving away?
She jumped the shark.
I did jump the shark.
That's not the right use of jump the shark.
That's not the right usage at all. No,
I love it. That's even better. Jill jumped the shark. Michael, what is Jill? What is Linus giving away?
So he's giving away Lego guitar pedals because every Christmas he likes to build Lego, and he decided, well, the guitar pedals are easy to make, and the kits are easy to make. So he's making one, and he's going to give it to any kernel developer who would like one.
Well, no, he's giving away 5.
5.
You have to contribute, and he's going to give away 5. I love the idea of Linus sitting there. He no longer can work on the kernel.
Yeah.
He's just putting together Lego blocks and soldering iron and Lego blocks and making. But it's actually a functional guitar pedal, and he's creating it, which is super cool. I mean, if you have the talent to get involved in kernel development, this is definitely something I would try to get my hands on. It'd be cool, a little prop in the background right there.
That's awesome.
Think. Yeah, so that's really cool incentive. But so there are other cool things in here as well. The hardware enablement. You didn't think I wouldn't cover that. You get
Shocking,
Raspberry
it was
Pi,
the first thing you covered.
a graphics driver updated for speed gains. You get ARM64 virtualization, so improved support for that. Networking device APIs. You get to enhance better compatibility, performance, and lots of Apple support, which is really interesting in this. So support for older Apple devices, including iPads and lots of different iPhones. In addition, for any pre-M1 Apple system on chips or SoCs, all of that's built into the kernel now. And it really starts the groundwork for all the other SoCs that Apple has to systems on a chip to support and update in the future. But things like iPhone 5,
and for Christmas
iPhone
is obviously
8.
stockings involved too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
right.
It's actually bare bones support for the A7 through to the A11 chipsets used in older iPhones and iPads. So now you can at least boot the Linux kernel on these devices. And of course, more development is coming soon so that we will be able to fully install Linux and boot Linux all the way with all the hardware support soon. And I'm actually personally looking forward to being able to run Linux on my old iPads because I have a few of those in my collection, and this would be perfect.
Cool.
Yeah.
So I'm creating what they call it's like a hack box, and you set up these. You use things like Metasploit and Kali and all of this, and you create all of these VMs, and then you run all of these hacks against them in these virtual machines so you don't get turned off by your ISP. You guys remember that story where I was running a command and my ISP was like, if you ever run that again,
yes,
you're in big trouble. Yeah.
Where you got shut down.
Learned my lesson.
Like, something's happening.
I'm now only attacking VMs, which is very helpful.
See, he was doing a somewhat responsible thing of only attacking himself, but he didn't realize that by attacking himself, he's also attacking the ISP, and they did not like that.
Yeah.
Did not like it. Yeah.
Did not like it.
Sorry. But yeah, so, I'm doing that using the Mac Mini M2, and it creates, up to 16 VMs it's running for me to attack in there because it's very powerful hardware. And Kali, of course, is compatible with ARM, and Metasploit and all this type of stuff can be virtualized. So it's kind of a cool little hack box, and it's this big. So instead of having this giant blade server across my desk running a bunch of VMs, I run this little mini Mac Mini, and it does all that work for it. So it's kind of a cool little thing. But there's also, of course, what is the distro that runs on Avahi? What is it called?
Avahi.
Yeah, that one. Why are you laughing at me, Jill?
Wait, Asahi. I said it wrong.
Asahi Linux.
I knew it was one of those.
So
I know
I said it wrong, and then I fixed it because Jill was laughing. I was like, "That's not right." Then Asahi. That's right. So I
Why don't you just give the right word, Jill, instead of making fun of us? You know,
because that's not good entertainment.
Yeah, it was fun seeing your struggle.
So Avahi is
what
actually.
The heck?
I love how Jill's being sassy to this episode. So Avahi is something that is important to the Linux system. That it is been around for a long time. So that does exist, Ryan. So you didn't just invent something. True. But Asahi is the thing.
Yeah, Asahi is really cool. I actually demoed that at a scale one year where I brought a MacBook running on the ARM architecture, running full Asahi.
Yeah, and this was like the early days of Asahi Linux too.
Yeah, before sound was working. So now they've got sound and everything working, which is really cool. But it ran really well. Outside of the sound, you could plug in your headphones, but outside of the speakers and stuff, at that point it was very good. So I can't imagine.
And also because of that testing, they found some bugs in the sound system of Apple's stuff, so they fixed it, and Apple pulled it into their stuff based on the reverse engineering.
See how important open source is. They need to do more.
They know they appreciate open source when it gives them free code.
Yeah, that's how they got their whole OS, isn't it?
A little bit, yeah. Not completely.
And speaking of hardware, you got the new AMD 3D V-Cache optimizer driver for gaming. So AMD's in there. AMD EPYC 900 or 9005 Turin server processors are in there. And Intel isn't left out. They have support for the Intel Xe3 graphics and Panther Lake processors. So lots and lots of hardware has been pumped into 6.13, which is really exciting. So if you are running latest cutting edge hardware, or even some of this older hardware on here, you might want to get yourself on one of those edge distros that would actually have this kernel.
I was about to say you almost forgot to say a particular phrase, but you fixed it. You got it. You got it in there.
Arch Linux. Jill, any other thoughts on 6.13?
Yeah, so another very important thing actually has been added for hardware support. The latest NVMe 2.1 specification, which will make transferring files faster and more efficient. So that's nice. Really, really huge. Yeah, that was very important.
They also did some atomic writes for various different file systems, like Extended 4 and XFS get support for atomic writes, which is very cool. And they added something that a lot of people in this community, especially Ryan, can appreciate: laziness. They added lazy preemption. That's what they added.
Lazy preemption.
That's different.
Yeah.
That's a different thing.
Why is everyone attacking me just because I was late to the show today? Is that what this is?
Well, I mean, you brought it on yourself. You brought
hazing that I get for being late. I feel like that's what's happening. Okay. Well, there was more in the news.
It's good though.
There was more in the news for AMD because we got some good AMD news right there in the kernel, but something else happened. Jill, Phoronix broke the story on this. AMD announced the AMD GPU Composition Stack, which is a new project aimed at enhancing Linux desktop display capabilities. And so this is super important. When we talked, we had someone write us, and they were talking about building a system. And they wanted to know in which case should they use AMD or should they go NVIDIA. And we gave them the use case for each of those. And this doesn't necessarily change that use case. Obviously, if you still need to use the NVENC, for things like DaVinci and stuff, or CUDA stuff, then you need to go NVIDIA. But this certainly makes the case for those that don't need data why AMD is killing it, because they're putting more effort into their drivers than ever before. Jill, you want to tell some of the features that this is going to have?
Yeah, so now the long story short is now you'll be able to do color correction on monitors. Actually, adjust the brightness and contrast of your monitors on AMD with an AMD official driver.
Through the software, because you could do it obviously through the hardware of the monitor before, but Now
Yeah.
you can do less
And
software.
you before, like I actually not used to, I am currently on several of my machines using ARander and XRander to adjust, the monitor positions and whatnot and save my settings. And this way it's supposed to be part of this new driver coming. And we've been waiting for this for a long time because we've had it on the NVIDIA side for years. And now we're going to get it on AMD finally.
And
Yay.
open source.
Yeah. And open source. And it's going to work on Wayland out of the box. In fact, ACS is actually a fork of Wayland's Weston compositor designed for advanced feature experimentation and development. So
That's right. It's actually really cool because,
yeah.
for those who don't know, Weston is the reference compositor for Wayland, which means you don't typically use it. It's not actually used in anything. It's more of like a test bed of like what's going to be coming in the future of Wayland support. And then the desktop environments have their own window manager or their own compositor that they work on. Like GNOME has theirs and KWin for KDE. And there's also other ones like Wayfire and LabWC. And there's many of them that are on the Wayland space, I guess. And these are really cool. But to see AMD take something like this reference compositor and then start making their own, I was super excited to see this because of two reasons. One, this is very cool. It shows how much effort they're going to be putting into their development and how much care that they have for the Linux platform. But two, in their blog post or on the mailing list, they said that it is a reference compositor, which kind of made me bummed for a second. And then I saw that it's a little bit more than that because they do call it that, but it's more of like it's a reference compositor now because they said it's to be a full stack open source delivery vehicle for AMD's commercial solutions and products, which is a big deal. If they're going to be including it as part of the stack, that's crazy. So
we're using on Blender and all the things, all the professional software.
Yeah. And they even said that they're going to be having specific stuff for AMD and that they're going to be putting stuff back into Weston. So they're going to be helping Weston and then all that stuff can be pulled into the other compositors and all that. They're going to be like stuff that's, AMD specific that's only going to be in their stuff because, they're going to be focusing on making sure it works great with AMD, as you would imagine they would. So this is just awesome news.
Yeah. And another thing, and it might be simple, a lot of people might not care too much about it, but it's very important for color management on AMD hardware on Linux is enhanced HDR color management. Up to this point, HDR on Linux hasn't been the greatest. I mean, it exists, but it doesn't always look that great. And I've tested a lot of that with my new monitors gaming. And HDR is just not there yet. I mean, on Linux, you can run it in game scope without a problem, but it's still not really pretty. But also, the Windows HDR is not that pretty either. So it's not that we're way behind on it.
Shots fired.
It's just, it's just not that great right now.
Yeah, it's just not. HDR is still
Windows
in the process.
people were like, "Oh yes," and then they almost had to get there.
Yeah.
They almost were excited about using Windows, and then they were bummed.
Darn it. No, there's all kinds of the initial features is, smoother FreeSync for your refresh rates, multi-plane overlays, direct multimedia decode, advanced color management, full screen HDR video playback with tone mapping, multi-seat support for shared systems. And then they have a whole bunch of planned features that will be coming as well that are just as cool, helping with virtualization, trusted memory zones, and
even more HDR stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. So just really, really cool stuff out there. And it looks like some of their code base is already hosted out there on GitLab. So really open source. Really, really open source.
Like actually open source, unlike some companies that claim a little bit.
Yeah. So if that doesn't have you excited in hardware, I got one more thing. More thing. I got one more attempt to get you excited about hardware here. And then if this doesn't excite you,
tell us about it, Ryan.
This doesn't excite you. I don't know who you are. You're just a meanie face. You just are an unexcitable person. A meanie, unexcitable person.
Okay. Challenge.
All right. Michael, Raspberry Pi,
Mhm.
but 16 gigabytes of RAM.
Okay, that
Woohoo!
sounds awesome.
Yeah. See, I knew I'd get you. All right, so the new model Raspberry Pi has 16 gigs of RAM, and that's really the big deal. It's available for $120, not very expensive. 16 gigabytes of RAM. Why is this a big deal? Well, there are limitations to Raspberry Pi with only 8 gigabytes of RAM. Apple, take note. If Raspberry Pi can do 16 gigabytes, so can you. 16 gigabytes of RAM when you start running like a heavyweight distribution, like if you want to run Ubuntu or other things, handle more advanced tasks, then 8 gigabytes of RAM.
8 gigs is enough for those kinds of distros. But the more you want to do with those distros and the more you want to do with that system, you're going to you're starting to feel the limit. So like if you want to do some intense stuff, you'll hit the limit pretty quick. With 16, that's double.
That's double. Double's
I
always
did math
better.
right there in my head.
Yep. And the RAM is provided by Micron, and it's LPDDR4X die, which is on the board, and it's going to allow you to have a lot more power. And now I just spent money, Jill, like right before Christmas on a Raspberry Pi 5 8 gig.
Yeah.
Now I feel like it's worthless.
Yeah. Now you got to buy a new one. Definitely.
I mean, it's
What
not.
they do.
I have to. That's what they do. Michael's like, they got you. They got
you.
you in their web. I need the 16
this will be just so helpful for running like large language models. And one I used to run when I was learning how to use TensorFlow, I learned how to use on a Raspberry Pi 4 gig. So the 16 gig would be much better.
How many VMs can a Raspberry Pi run? You know,
how much wood could a woodchuck chuck?
Has anybody in our audience tested this? If you have, send us some comments. I wonder if I could create a hack box with a Raspberry Pi with 16 gigs of RAM. You'd have to run, at least be able to run Kali, obviously the Raspberry Pi OS that's going to be running the virtual server, and then Metasploit or something like that, where you can do some hacking against. But I'm thinking a Raspberry Pi could do it.
Is there
there's Kali ARM, 100%.
Yeah, Kali ARM. Yeah.
Works very, very good. It's made for Raspberry Pi, in fact, but you can run it on Apple.
Oh, right.
As well. Yep.
I knew that, and for some reason I forgot entirely. But that's very cool. I think that it's with the 16 gigs. I think with the 8 gigs, you could probably still run some because you can limit the VMs to be like 2 gigs a piece and still be reasonably depending on like what you're doing. Because you can make Kali pretty bare bones if you want to. And then there's other ones that I think Kali runs Plasma now. I'm pretty sure. And you can, we could probably
XFCE still, but
I thought it was XFCE, but I thought they changed it. But I could just be wrong entirely. Let's look it up. Let's check
the ARM version.
We need our fact checkers.
Yeah, we don't have. I don't think we have our AI available right now, so we're going to have to check ourselves. That is the worst part about doing a show when you don't have your AI.
No, it's not.
Ready.
People need to see that. Believe it or not, we're not full of every fact. Just most. Just most of them.
One of the things I've been excited about the 16 gig version, do you know this actually puts now the Raspberry Pi in contention as a Linux mini PC? Because there are other, there's the Orange Pi and there's the Rock Chip that are generally more powerful, but they all have 16 gig. So this actually puts the Raspberry Pi in as a little lower end, but cheaper mini PC. So yeah.
I'm pretty sure it runs the superior XFCE still, Michael. So
yeah,
it looks like it. I think so.
You can run now. You can go install KDE Plasma on it if you want to, or any other desktop like GNOME.
XFCE is a pretty lightweight thing. So
pretty good choice for Kali.
Either one of those
really
is good.
When you think about it, that's a good choice for Kali.
It is. Yeah.
So, Michael, there is this scam that is like so gnarly that I could not wait to get on this show to talk to people about it, because the things these hackers
he's talking about letting you know about the scam. He's not saying how awesome the scam is. He's not excited about it in that sense. Just to be clear.
No. I'm excited to let the audience know about this. Like, I'm not excited that it exists. It's gnarly. But the way these hackers come up with this stuff is incredible. Like, they're just sitting there. If they spent this much time working on a Linux kernel, they might have a Linus Torvalds guitar pedal instead of whatever they get from these stupid scams. So
Yeah.
Exactly.
think about that.
And also, dignity, self-respect.
They're very talented. They're
You
very
can have those
talented.
too.
They could just use that talent for something good. All right, so here it is. Hackers are using a simple text scam to bypass Apple's iPhone protections, specifically targeting iMessage's phishing prevention measures. So, iMessage has some security in place to say, hey, we don't want somebody who's phishing to be able to easily compromise your phone. And so when they send you a message, there's some protection there that does things like makes links inside of a text message they send you, not active. So if they send you a link, it's not active, and that's good. It's a protection for you. It's a protection for your friends and
The
family.
preview stuff is cool, but if they're sending you malware, you don't want that preview to show.
Yeah.
On Android, you can turn that feature off, by the way, in messages, but I believe it's not off by default. Maybe they changed it, but I know at one point we covered on the show how to go into your settings and turn that off. That's one of the first things I do in my messages is turn off the ability for people I don't know to send me links or photos for that very reason.
And
well, when an iPhone user
is weird,
receives a message from an unknown number, they're disabled. But if you reply, like Michael likes to troll people. That's his thing. He trolls people all day long. He's a professional troll.
I'm a little bit of a troll sometimes. I mean, based on this episode, there's a lot of evidence for this episode for Ryan.
I can't deny it. There's a lot of evidence.
So I'm not going to even pretend that I haven't done it before, but I don't mess with these kinds of things because I didn't know about this as an issue. It was more of like, it's not worth the effort to even mess with them, so I don't bother. And there's also a bunch of YouTubers and stuff who do it, so they're annoying them for me.
Makes sense. So guess what, Michael? If you troll these people, then it completely disables Apple's security. The moment you reply to them,
that's not good.
Yeah.
What's going to happen is they are going to activate the link and they are going to be able to, execute their phishing scam, which in some cases, that link alone could be, activating
there's
some malware on your account.
Times. Yeah, there's many times people have been able to send links or JPEGs or PDFs or PNGs, and they all have like payload attached to them. And so you don't want these things to load. And it's very interesting. So if like someone gets a message that is, clearly spam or whatever, and you say, you're not going to catch me, Kappa, or whatever.
Is that what you say?
No. It just, for some reason, my brain was going to say hacker, and then I turned into the 1920s gangster. I don't know why.
You'll never catch me alive, Kappa. You know what? You know what's funny about that, Michael, is every time we pass a cop and the kids are in the car, I always say that. I'm like, you'll never catch me alive, Kappa. And that's my thing. And you brought it here, and the kids laugh.
Nice.
Yeah. Also, did you notice when you were talking, when I was talking a second ago, I kind of hesitated for a second. That's because I unplugged this from my computer while we were talking, and then that somehow unmuted you from our Discord chat, which means I was hearing you like 3 times, and I had no idea what was going on with our audio, and it was pretty fun. So if you go back now and see my facial expression about 10 seconds ago, it'll be like, and then I'm trying to talk because I'm like hearing 1,000 of Michael. That's why. So
you're welcome. I'm glad you enjoyed. You get to
I wanted people to have a reason to go back in time to see my facial expression while I was trying to talk.
We could have just edited that out. We weren't.
No, it was too good. Yeah, Wendy's definitely not going to. She wants to see me suffer.
Exactly. That's what I'm like. I'm just making a joke about like we could. We're not gonna, but we could.
Yeah.
So I like trolling hackers. Obviously, I want to get into a career.
I do it when I get phone calls.
Mess with them all the time, but now this kind of limits my ability to do that stuff. It really is true that it's best to just ignore those things, to never reply, to delete and report it as spam, and not engage in any way, because the hacking is so sophisticated nowadays. And these scams are so, even if you're not clicking the link, once you activate that and it becomes active, that can trigger some malware and things depending on the advancement of the tool that they're using. So best just to delete and report. That's your best bet there.
Yep. Delete, report. And also this applies to phone calls too. They're not going to be able to activate your whatever stuff based on this is not the same kind of thing. But it is also good not to answer random phone call spam, because if you do answer it, they know it's a person. And that way you could, I think there's a way to not send a call to voicemail and just kind of kill the call. I think you can do that. If you can't, that'd be a bummer. They should implement that. But if you answer it, you're basically telling them that is a person and they will continue to call. So it's best to just avoid that too. Now, sometimes I do enjoy messing with them on the phone, but I know I shouldn't. So I'm going to stop.
No, you won't. You can't stop. It's too fun.
I've limited how much I do it. So it's probably like 1 every 10 times now.
Do you do the whistle where you just blow the whistle in their ear the whole time?
Boy.
That's one's pretty fun.
No, sometimes I start trying to sell them things.
Yeah.
That's fantastic, man.
Yeah.
And
my favorite thing is that I'll repeat the exact same thing they say to me back to them.
Like a parrot.
Oh yeah.
Like a bot. Or I used to do this. I haven't done it in a long time because I stopped using it, but I used to use Telegram and they were just filled with bots. It happened all the time, every day. So there's no way to avoid it, because as soon as you get the message, they know it exists because it's going to go through and it's going to tell them it went through. So I just literally copy and paste everything they said to me back to them. And they'll be like, hey, how are you doing? And hey, how are you doing? And then they'll say, good, you. And I'll send good, you. And then and eventually they catch on that I'm just copy and pasting. And they start yelling at me. And it's hilarious.
That's so good. That's so good. I love it.
But don't do it on your phone if it has this kind of issue. Yeah. Maybe other ones, though.
Be cautious with your trolling. Be cautious. Jill, do you troll these people? Do you troll them?
No, but one time I got the phone call from someone saying, "Oh, your Windows computers have been compromised." And I picked it up and I said, and it was a lady's voice, and I said, "I'm sorry, ma'am, I do not run Windows. I run Linux." And hang up. They hung up.
That's Jill's version of a troll, Michael.
Yeah. Jill's version of a troll is to troll just tell them that they're wasting their time.
Yeah.
My version of that would be, "Oh, really? Tell me what's wrong." And then like throw up a fake Windows VM or something. And it would be, to make myself laugh, I'd load up Windows ME and then see what the reactions would be.
So good.
Yeah.
Oh, man. If you had Windows ME in a virtual server, let them connect to it. Be like,
that'd be awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. Millennium was just my favorite. I can't stop using it.
Yeah. All right, Jill. Update. What does that mean?
Take us into gaming.
Okay. So Ryan actually has done it again and given me another horror game to review. Oh,
he seems
the
to
horror.
like doing that.
First one of 2025.
Oh. Yes. Absolutely, Ryan. But this game has over 19,000 overwhelmingly positive reviews.
Well, it sounds like a good pick.
Yeah. And this game, of course, you might want to check out. It's called Slay the Princess. Slay the Princess is a visual novel that people are saying is incredibly well written, has amazing characters, and is dark and haunting. And the graphics are extremely unique, hand-drawn, and very beautiful. And it has an eerie atmosphere. Narration and voice acting is also eerie and top-notch. And you'll love this one. Has one of my favorite descriptions of any game, because they did such a good job describing the game. So it's described on Steam like this: you're on a path in the woods, and at the end of that path is a cabin, and in the basement of that cabin is a princess. You're here to slay.
I got the rest. Jill, your voice is too kind. I'm gonna do this.
Oh,
we gotta do this.
Okay, you go.
You're here to slay her. If you don't, it will be the end of the world. She will do everything in her power to stop you. She'll charm, she'll lie, and she'll promise you the world. And if you let her, she'll kill you 12 times over. You can't let that happen. Don't forget, the fate of the world rests on your shoulders. You're not going to listen to her, are you? We're supposed to save the princess. not slay them. ...
Bravo, Ryan.
Thank you.
That gave me the creeps. I really thought I was
Wow.
in the game.
There you go.
No,
What do you think,
it
Michael? 10 out of 10?
it was because Ryan was talking. I understand.
Yeah.
But
Creeps. That was my normal voice. She's like, gives me the creeps. Wow.
it was very close to your normal voice. Actually, it was really close.
Michael, that was rude. You apologize. You say you're
Aw.
sorry. You say you're sorry right now.
You know
You
what I just
say
did? I slayed Ryan right there.
Yes, you did. You slayed him. You slayed him good.
Go sit in the corner. You're in timeout. You're in timeout.
Actually, Ryan's
Okay.
really good at telling stories to his kids too. I've heard him do that,
That's
and
true.
you're very good at it. Yeah.
Thank you, Jill.
This game does look pretty cool, though. Like in terms of like horror games, I'm not a big fan because I'm just not really into those styles. But this is a very unique like art style and everything, so it looks really interesting. And I like how that when you first start the thing, it says you already know what to do. Like you know what the name of the game tells you what to do and who to do it to.
Yeah.
And it's like, why are you hesitating? Like, okay, this is interesting.
Yeah. It really is. It's a very unique horror experience, but it's one of the few horror games that Ryan has picked that I actually really like.
I'll take that as a compliment.
And honestly, you've picked quite a few horror games that I have liked, but this one was up there on the list.
Nice.
In my top 10. Slay the Princess is actually a role-playing experience from the creators, if you know of the game called Scarlet Hollow, and that's really gorgeously designed as well. And Slay the Princess is actually an Indiecade nominee for 2023 and several other awards, including a PAX Rising Showcase Award. So it's very well rewarded by the industry, and it's definitely a worth a playthrough.
The fact that it's also hand drawn is just crazy.
Yes,
That's
it
so
is.
cool.
It is crazy. And Slay the Princess is actually available on Steam for $17.99 and is Steam Deck verified.
Nice.
That's important. This would be a good one for Steam Deck. A really good one for Steam Deck. I promised you all that I was going to give you an extra bonus little thing here with the whole cybersecurity course. So we're going to talk about being in the cybersecurity course, and we were implementing security information and event management software called SIEMs, SIEMS, on some servers. And so we were utilizing this very expensive licensed software to do so. And it got me thinking, like, are there some open source alternatives available that will perform this same work? And so the first tool I discovered was called Graylog Open. And so Graylog Open is built an open source project, self-managed, SSPL licensed, centralized log management solution. So what these tools do is basically collect all of your logs into a centralized place and then obviously utilize some intelligence to allow you to go through logs. Because think about having hundreds or thousands of servers, and you don't want to log into each one to go pull all of their logs and see if something's going wrong, to check on them. And that's where this type of software becomes really, really important there. And SSPL, by the way, is server-side public license. It's a source available copy left software license introduced by MongoDB in 2018. So this is a SIEMs tool, not 100% open, but better than fully proprietary, and it doesn't cost $100,000 a license like the project we were using.
The part that it's not super expensive, that's good. The source available is basically still proprietary.
Yeah. I mean, it's copy left though.
Yeah, but source available, it implies that it's not. You don't have all the same rights that you get from that. So
there's some limitations there. It's not as good. It's what MongoDB uses.
Yeah. It's like in the middle somewhere.
Yeah, it's not terrible, not the best, most permissive license, but it's there. So here's a project for the community. Use one of the free licenses at Sandfly, and then integrate it with the same tool by exporting its events and logs into Graylog, because those two tools work together, Graylog and Sandfly. And so you can have all of that detection software plus the log management software together, and now you have active threat monitoring and analysis together, combined with that logging, which is fantastic. And boom, Bob's your uncle.
I don't have an uncle named Bob.
Oh, in your
I
case,
used
Bob's
to.
not. There you go. Jill's got. I don't have a Bob uncle either. I also
But apparently he's your uncle now.
I also asked Brandon from Pseudo Show if he knew of some free and open source or more permissive licenses or tools that you can use for SIEMs. And he mentioned OpenSearch and Elastic would fall into that category. So you can use our Sandfly partners, destinationlinux.net/Sandfly, and then combine it with one of these logging tools. And you have a pretty powerful logging system and threat detection system all in one, which is pretty dope. Do it.
OpenSearch is a fork of Elastic, maybe? Yeah. Something like that. Anyway.
In fairness to Brandon, I hit him up last minute, and these were the ones on the top of his head, but he knew there was more, and he's going to get back to me. So I may get back to you, or you just download the Pseudo Show, and he.
No, I'm saying these are good options. I was just saying, like,
sure,
I think
because it's Brandon.
I remember it being that. I could also be wrong, so it is possible that I don't know what I'm talking about.
I mean, that should be. We should have that kind of text. At the very beginning of the show,
every time I talk, or it's just like. The beginning of the show is like, welcome to Destination Linux. We might not be right, but we're going to talk about it anyway.
Or it's possible we don't know what we're talking about. So let's get on with the show.
It's also possible we're experts. Who knows?
Yeah, we don't know. Do you know?
You'll let us know if we're experts or not. What's the tip of the week this week, Jill?
Oh, so our tip and trick of this week, Michael and Ryan, is using NMAP.
Nice.
NMAP is a very powerful command line tool, and we are going to just cover the most basic usage, but it is a great utility to learn whether you want to be a pen tester or sysadmin. NMAP allows you to discover hosts and services by sending packets and analyzing the results. You can probe computer networks and get information on the host, service, and operating systems. And the simplest way and command to get started after installing NMAP is to simply type nmap space localhost at the command line.
Nice.
You'll immediately see information on IPs, open ports, and latency, but there is so much more you can do with other switches. So check out NMAP and start playing with all that incredible power. Ryan and Michael, do you know what NMAP stands for?
I do. It stands for NMAP dip-a-dap-dap NMAP. Is that right?
Oh, that's the song NMAP, Michael.
Oh, my bad.
That was who is that song sung by NMAP? Who are those people? The Dugan Boys?
It was the Hunsons.
The Hunsons.
The Hutchins.
Sure.
The Hardy Boys? The Hardy Boys sang it?
The Hardy Boys.
Yeah, that's the one. Jill, obviously, being in cybersecurity and having to use this tool multiple times a day now, it is a network mapper. But here's the cool thing. This tool is one of the first tools used in almost every class I'm in when we're looking for vulnerabilities and everything. It's like the first go-to tool in your arsenal to check out. And we did a bank hack. It wasn't real. Don't come after me, feds. Where we had to break into a bank and then we had to transfer funds into another account and all that stuff. And you had to start scanning and mapping out the network of the bank before you could break in. And obviously, NMAP is a very powerful tool that begins that journey. It's not the end of the journey, but it's the beginning of the journey for most of these hacks. So very cool tool. Definitely something worth getting used to.
That's wonderful. Do you know, a lot of people out there don't realize sometimes that they're using it when they use the function ping. Ping is part of NMAP. So if you want to ping a website, say google.com, you're using NMAP. And in fact, whenever I'm setting up a new computer, that's like the first command I run when on websites, that I've created or, that I want to test my network connection with. So just hit ping space in the name of the website and it'll let you know how the data is transferring and
Nice.
what's going on there.
I actually didn't know. I knew ping. I've used pinged like thousands of times. I did not know it was a part of the
It's
NMAP
part of
thing.
NMAP.
That's
Yeah.
nice.
Such a ping head that you didn't know that. What a ping head. Gosh. Man. Jill, that's embarrassing. He's such a ping head. All right. A big thank you.
Is this because I've been giving you such a hard time this
Yes,
week?
and I'm sad about
Yeah.
it. All right. So there's a movie. This is going to be because I don't think either you or Jill can get this. So this will be a challenge to our audience. There's a movie, and the quote in the movie is one ping only. And if you could get that movie, then you win. Michael will send you whatever's on his shelf. Everything on his shelf. Michael will send you. He'll ship it to you at his cost.
I will not send you everything on the shelf. But also, you can't even see what most of the stuff on my shelves. So, like,
you just get a box of random crap, dusty crap.
Also, you wouldn't be able to tell because there's about 4 or 5 boxes you can't even see. So I could just send you some random stuff, and that'd be good enough.
I'm thinking about that quote. Is it from one of the submarine movies?
No.
Ooh,
No.
Jill.
Yeah,
yes,
you know which one I'm talking about.
No.
Yes. Jill knows it.
Don't spoil it, Jill. We got it.
Yeah.
These people want the random stuff from my shelves.
Okay.
I love how I signed Michael up for random crap. It just he doesn't have time for this crap that I signed him up for.
I'm definitely not doing
it.
Just so you know, people, I'm not doing this.
I mean, I feel like you should, Michael. You committed to it earlier.
No, I was making a joke about that I could just send random stuff. Not that I would just send. I didn't say the word would. I could.
I think it's nice that you're going to take the time to do that. A big thank you to each and every one of you for supporting us by watching or listening to Destination Linux. However you do it, we love your faces. And you don't want to be a ping head, then you need to come join us in our Discord at tuxdigital.com/Discord. And you can come hang out with the whole community. It's a pretty cool place.
You can join us, and we could join the voice chat, and we could all sing NMAP together and be a great time.
NMAP.
NMAP. tuxdigital.com/Discord to join there. And also, if you go to tuxdigital.com/membership and become a patron, you can get special access to the patron-only section of our Discord server. So go there to do that, and you get a bunch of other stuff. You can join us to watch the show live. You can get unedited versions of the show. You can also get merch discounts and so much more. And by the way, I said merch discounts. That's right, because we have a store, tuxdigital.com/store. That's where you'll find t-shirts like the This Week in Linux shirt, the Linux is Everywhere shirt, the stuff, not any of the stuff Ryan's wearing because he never participates in this, and none of the stuff.
I did a video on Garmin versus Google Pixel Watch 3. You should go check out. So I'm holding up the Garmin box. It just happened to be here. But Michael, also you forgot to tell them that everything on your shelf is in our store. If you want to pick up what's on Michael's shelf, go to tuxdigital.com/store, and he will auction off all the items on his shelf.
So first of all, technically I could do that because they do that is part of the store system, and we could actually put stuff on there that you can have and send. I'm not doing that.
Amazing.
However, this mug right here is absolutely on the store, so you can go check that out. And there's a couple more in there on the shelf that I don't remember because
it's all for sale, people. Everything you see in his room is for sale if you go to tuxdigital.com/store, including his headphones and his mic and the mic arm and the plant. All of it's for sale.
So let me remind people.
His glasses are for sale.
Let me remind people. When Ryan says stuff about me, it's typically not real. It's usually made up nonsense.
You can buy the shirt off his back at tuxdigital.com.
There we go.
I like how you were like, you could buy his glasses. It wouldn't be very helpful. He wouldn't be able to see. You wouldn't be able to use them, but you could get them.
And make sure to check out all the amazing shows here on Tux Digital, like Ryan's latest video, and Michael has been putting out lots of wonderful videos in the last few weeks.
Okay.
So I'm going to give Ryan some credit. He finally put out a new video, and it's a very good video. So go check it out. We'll have it. Okay. What I meant to say is Ryan did it. He tried his best.
Oh, that's sweet. Hey, what did you think of my thumbnail, Michael? Because
I don't remember what the thumbnail is because I just clicked it and automatically loaded the page. So let's see.
You go give us a live review
of your thumbnail. Let's do it. Okay. So
Ryan
no,
forgot
you
to
got-
turn on his green light too.
A scale from 1 to 10.
So first of all, sorry to Wendy for having to add this visual. Let's look at this thumbnail.
Mhm.
It's actually not as bad as you usually do.
That's his compliment. It's not as bad as I usually. It's not good. It's just not as bad as I usually do.
So
like it. I
most of the
appreciate
time, it's like it's impossible to read the text, and I always give them that tip, like update. Let me read the text. I can read the text in this one, so improvement. So I'll give it to you.
Yay.
Here's the other thing, Michael.
Oh.
I did not use the templates from that software place. I went to Photopea and made my own. I know
Whoa.
that's made in
I'm
Photopea.
proud.
So it's very simple and basic, but it was my first attempt at Photopea without your help. So I feel like, there's something there.
With that information, I'll give you extra bonus points. So it's
very
not
sweet.
it's I'll give it a good effort.
That's not on the
Aw.
1 to 10 scale. What is the 1 to 10 scale?
Okay, on a scale of a really good thumbnail or on a scale of good effort. So on a really good thumbnail, on good effort, I give it an 8.
And the other one, use your imagination, folks.
Yeah.
Use your imagination.
It's
Ryan,
actually not bad.
It has good use of negative space.
Thank you, Jill. That's amazing, Jill. Thank you.
The
Michael,
fact that it perfectly fits that thing too, because there's a lot of negative space in the thumb.
Yeah. Yes,
Michael,
exactly.
how is that not a shirt? We need that because that is the perfect
yes.
insult to somebody's drawing. Well, it's a good use of negative space.
Good use of negative. 100% it's happening now.
Yeah. And Jill is Bob Ross. You have to have Jill as Bob Ross on there.
Yeah, that would be cool.
And
Stop adding more effort to the shirt. I already had an idea. Now I have to do different.
No. We'll make sure everyone to listen to all our fantastic shows here on tuxdigital.com to keep those Linux penguins marching. And everybody have a wonderful week. And remember that the journey itself is just as important as the destination.
Hey, we got through a whole episode again. We are really changed in 2025.
That's crazy. Hey, by the way, since we're talking about
grown
thumbnails,
up.
you should check out my latest thumbnail, Ryan, live on the show.
All right, let me go check that out here.
This one is about a reaction
It's going to take
video
a little
that I
longer
did.
because I'm not subscribed.
Yeah, I like
to
the
anything you
Linus
do,
Tech
so-
Tips reaction video. It's really good.
Wait a minute. You're not subscribed to my... what?
Oh,
That
no. I actually downvote most of your videos as soon as they come out. I don't watch them.
That
They could be
seems
great,
legit. That seems
but
real.
I do not.
Yeah.
I just, as soon as I see them, I'm like, downvote that crap. And then I always unsubscribe, but then I resubscribe.
I
can
see.
get
So
the
you subscribe
notification.
You subscribe and then unsubscribe just to have the joy of
power.
unsubscribing. Yeah.
And then I leave a comment. This video made me so mad I'm unsubscribing, which I was going to do anyways. I just wanted to leave the comment so you knew.
So how often do you use those Cheeto fingers?
I like your new thumbnail. It actually is a very good use of negative space.
Thank you. There's not much of that, but yes, thank you.
It's good use of positive space.
Oh, actually, that's funny because I usually don't. I usually have a lot of visuals in the background, but my section of the thumbnail is empty blackness, so it is actually negative space.
Yeah.
Wow, good use of
space.
that term for that. Right.
By the way, the new visuals you have in your latest video is quite impressive, Michael.
Mm-hmm.
Are you talking about the other guys' visuals?
Oh, I was the wrong channel. This was actually somebody who was good. No, I like the left. No, I'm teasing. I like the left screen of the whole news on the left. Like that's
it's very
nice.
Thank you.
Yeah, instead of like underneath, or I don't even remember how you did it before, but this is better.
I've played around with it a lot, and this one I agree. I like this probably the best I've had ever. Like it's I think it's a much better style. So I just kind of played with it, and it turns out to be pretty good.
Your best thumbnail, and it's really good. It actually is really good. Is reacting to how James Lee broke up with Adobe. That thumbnail is dope.
Oh,
that catches my attention. See, the other one, it's new, so it makes sense. It's a little bit like newsy. It doesn't have your face or anything. But that one is one of your videos, and that one catches my attention right away because you whited out your eyes and all that stuff. It's dope. That's a really good thumbnail.
Thank you very much. So that's the funny thing is that that's his style of the content. Like you got to watch this video. It's awesome. His style is really cool. It's definitely not something you'd want to watch every single day because it can be a little bit intense. But when I saw his style, like you watch me like react to his style, I'm like, man, I wish I thought of this.
Yeah.
Now I don't want to do it, but I was like, I'll at least do it on the thumbnail.
Check out Michael Tennell's YouTube channel. I just subscribed, so you might want to check it out yourself.
Yeah.
He had to unsubscribe in order to subscribe, but yes.
We'll
see you next week, everybody.
See ya.
Love you all.
Most of you.
Yes. Thank you, Michael. Pick that up.
You're welcome.